So I did a few things while paying off my debt that would make a certain financial guru cringe. And I know not everyone will agree with what I did, and that's okay. But I'm not giving financial advice. This is just my story, and I'm talking about the real life choices that I made that allowed my debt freedom journey to not only be sustainable, but successful. So I started off gazelle intense, but the excitement of starting a new debt payoff journey and all the adrenaline and willpower that I had soon wore off, and the journey became hard and boring and very mundane. And that made it a lot more difficult for me to stick with the journey. And so instead of just scrapping the idea altogether, I decided to add in a few creature comforts to make the journey more enjoyable and also more sustainable. So before I get into the three things that I did, I wanted to share a quick picture of my financial situation at the time. And this is really important to note. So I was not living paycheck to paycheck. I was not putting groceries on credit cards. I was not behind on my bills. Also, I had a budget at the time. I knew exactly where my money was going. And I had a very solid debt payoff plan. I knew exactly the date that I would be debt free, and I also knew the exact amount of money that I needed to put towards my debt every single month in order to reach that goal. So all the extra money I made on top of that was just my play money. And honestly, that feeling of clarity and control is what changed everything for me. It's what gave me the confidence to consciously break the rules without derailing my progress, and it also allowed me to stop feeling guilty for spending money. And I am so passionate about helping women achieve the same with my financial clarity calls. So if you're watching this thinking, I want that same level of clarity and control, then the link to book a call is in the description box and it will be pinned to a comment. The first thing I don't regret doing while paying off debt is I travel the world. So my church supports missionaries around the world, and during the summer, we'll do English camps at those local churches. So the first time I went, we went to Italy. And that was my very first time going out of the country, and I fell in love. Like, Italy is already just a beautiful country, but it's not just, it's the people, it's the language, it's the food, just everything about it was incredible. And I had the best time ever, and I got the travel bug. So my brother was stationed in Japan at the time because he is in the military. And so I decided, okay, I'm going to go visit him. And that was, oh my goodness, that was life-changing. Japan is an amazing country. The food, the environment, the culture, everything was amazing. So I am so thankful that I traveled even while I was paying off debt. I visited 4 countries while paying off debt, and I have lifelong memories because of those experiences. And I'm so grateful that I didn't wait until I paid off all of my debt to do this. These were opportunities that presented themselves while I was paying off debt, and I'm so thankful that I took those opportunities because my life is forever changed because I experienced other cultures, and I saw the beauty of other cultures, the diversity of their language and their food and their quality of life. Y'all, these people know how to live. Like, they know how to enjoy their life. It's amazing. So I will never regret traveling, even while paying off debt. The second thing I don't regret doing while paying off debt was I went out to eat, y'all. Now, I know Dave Ramsey says you should not see the inside of a restaurant unless you're working there and it's rice and beans, beans and rice. But y'all, I love food. Like, food is my love language. So cutting out eating out altogether was just not realistic for me. Now, let's be clear. Before I started my debt freedom journey, I was spending like crazy on food. I was spending at one point over $900 a month on food. And so when I started my debt freedom journey, I did cut back drastically on my food costs. I was spending only about $300 a month on food. I started bringing my lunch to work, and I was eating rice and beans. But as I said earlier, like the journey, it was easier to do that, to cut out everything in the very beginning because of all the excitement and just the willpower that you have. But once that goes away, it's a lot harder to continue making those sacrifices. And so I decided, okay, let me add back, just a little bit of in my budget to allow me to eat out. The third thing that I don't regret doing while paying off debt is I lived alone and I did not get a roommate. So conventional wisdom would say that when you're trying to pay off debt, the first thing you do is look at where you can save money, what expenses can you cut, and a big expense for most people is their housing costs. So you can either downsize, you can move back in with your parents, or you can get a roommate. Well, moving back in with my parents was not an option for me because they didn't live anywhere near me. But also getting a roommate just did not make sense for me at the time. And the reason for that is because I was working night shift as a nurse at that time. And so I slept throughout the day and I needed quiet during the day. I did not want to get a roommate where they were, wrestling pans and watching TV and laughing and having phone calls while I'm trying to sleep. I wanted to protect my peace at home. So I did not get a roommate. But what I did instead was I decided, okay, I'm not going to cut my expenses by downsizing my housing, but I will just work more. So I decided to increase my income by picking up extra shifts that kind of offset that cost and allowed me to still put more towards my debt, even though I wasn't cutting my expenses in that way. And I don't regret that. Sometimes I think about it, I'm like, man, I could have moved in with somebody in their basement apartment or something and really save money that way. But really, when I think about it, like if I'm thinking realistically, I wanted peace where I was living. Getting a roommate just didn't really align with my goals and my values. These are the three things that I did while paying off debt, but I'm so thankful that I did them. I do not regret them because they allowed me to maintain my sanity during the process of becoming debt-free. So now you know what I did, but the real question becomes, what is your version going to look like? What sacrifices are you just not willing to make? And what matters most to you? And if you would like to figure out how you can pay off debt without hating your life, then that is exactly what we'll plan out in a financial clarity call. And again, you can book that call using the link in the description box or in the pinned comment. If this video was helpful for you, then click this video next to learn how your debt might be secretly controlling you. And I'll see you in that video.